Okay, the line is out for Georgia Mississippi State, and obviously the Dogs are traveling over to Starkville for this one. Dog Post will we've got you covered as usual. Georgia is a 17.5 point favorite over the Bulldogs. This is going to be a challenging game for Mississippi State to win, even though it's at home. Washington State against Alabama, Washington State against Auburn. It's going to be hard for them. This line has moved up in the run up to the game. You could get this game a couple of weeks ago or in the summer or whatever, and it was lower than it is right now. So I think right now the public, yes, for this Tennessee game, what happened on the betting world is that if I'm not mistaken, you can gamble in Tennessee on your phone. So sports betting is legal in Tennessee, and I think, frankly, what happened was the line came out a touch too high. The Tennessee crowd voted it, beat it down almost to a touchdown, and then the Sharks came in and put some heavy lines on Georgia, and it got up to 10 or whatever it wound up at. And you're not going to see, I don't think, the same thing here. There's a lot of different reasons why. Namely, Mississippi State is not as good as Tennessee, number one. But I think sometimes folks kind of get carried away. Yeah, the line finished at 10. I mean, you could have gotten the line at 7.5 on Friday. It moved up to 10. And that's just that for the Tennessee game. You're not going to see. You could see the movement, but you're not going to see it get beaten down to 14 this week. I mean, you're just not going to. So it was curious. There was a lot of sort of, I thought, mindless momentum towards Tennessee. I thought the game would be closer than it was, but I thought picking Tennessee was a very curious step off the ledge. I thought that people are overthinking these games sometimes. And when you look at, you have to watch the games. I mean, you cannot always do, I think the term is transitive properties. You can't say, oh, Georgia beat the Gators by 20, whatever, in a neutral field, and Tennessee won by 5. Therefore, Georgia will win by 25 at home. That's not how it works. But if you watch them play the game, you realize Georgia's the better team, and the betting line it was indicative of that the entire time. Um, when you are a favorite like that, all the way up to 10. Now 10 makes it even more decisive, frankly, but the numbers show. But that not only did Georgia cover, it could have been a 3-score uh, uh, win for Georgia. That's not what happened. Tennessee stuck in there, and I think we'll see the Vols at 11-1 by the end of the season. And now, what will happen with Mississippi State? I couldn't say. This is a team that has been, the red flag for me was the loss to Kentucky was a bad sign. I mean, I think that if you're losing to Kentucky and you're a team and Georgia's coming to town, yeah, that's not good because they're both very physical. I think that you are going into overtime with Auburn. That's not good. The way they didn't compete, I mean, I don't know. That's probably harsh, but the 24-point loss to Bama, these guys have got a win over Memphis, Arizona, Bowling Green, Texas A&M, who has quit, and an Arkansas team that is just not playing great this season. So they've lost 2 of their last 3 games. They narrowly beat Auburn, a team that doesn't have a head coach right now. Georgia is going to really beat Mississippi State. Now, I think if you're a bettor, which I don't really, I don't bet, I talk about betting. I think you might think about Mississippi State in the first half line because, although this is a night game, you are coming off a Tennessee Georgia experience that was pretty significant. Although the return of Jalen Carter really did matter. Speaking of returns, this guy on the cover had the return for the pick six. We have an event with Kelee Ringo on the 20th. and we are going to run out of tickets at some stage here. And I'm warning you now that if you want to get your experience, you can catch the details. They are down below. Please check this out before we run out of time. Excuse me, before we run out of tickets, because that's going to be that's going to be unfortunate. Uh, I want as many people who can really make it there to do that. The problem is that we're going to run out of tickets, and I don't want y'all to. There's another event that is free to the public. You can just come. It's a week from today. Atlanta will be at Barnes and Noble at Perimeter Mall. And who is we? Jeff Foxworthy and I. Jeff was awesome enough to do the forward in dog instruction. Uh, it is a great story about his life experience with the dogs. Talking about his grandfather is actually one of the best. I think it was a great. I mean, it really was well done, and I don't just say that stuff, by the way. So Jeff and I will be there, and I'm very appreciative of Jeff Foxworthy. I'm not joking at all about that, although he lives in the world of jokes. It is an awesome opportunity to get us to sign it. You do not have to be at the Kelee Ringo event. You can purchase a ticket and get the stuff. You just need to email me, dean@dogpost.com, to coordinate everything that you've got going on. Okay. So people are taking advantage of that offer. I think we will run out of tickets at this rate sooner than later. So do not miss out. It's going to be hard for State. Listen, they're not as good as Georgia. We've seen Georgia lose the ball too often lately. Okay, I can't recall how many turnovers it was against Florida. I think it was 3. And they had 2 against Tennessee. All right, that's 5 in 2 games. It's too many. It's too loosey goosey with the ball. And it's certainly on that first drive, Stetson should have thrown an interception, but he threw it at a linebacker who I guess has rocks for hands and could not catch the ball at Tennessee. But this situation right now, this is a great opportunity for Georgia to, you know, take advantage of this of this moment, I guess you could say. I mean, these guys are they are honing in on a season that could be special. And when you think about, a season ago and how different this season is versus that, the discussion of the term strain, how much is Georgia having to strain? Oh, they're having to strain, but it's just that they're not as dominant as they were last year, but they can Swiss Army knife beat you in any number of ways. It doesn't have to be Brock Bowers or Darnell. It can be Lad McConkey. A.D. Mitchell's not playing, y'all. It can be the suffocating defense. And by the way, suffocating defense does not necessarily mean that the other team doesn't move the ball. Suffocation can occur in many different aspects. There's any number of ways of doing it. I mean, the way that Lassiter and Ringo played on Saturday, Christopher Smith, Malachi Starks, I thought they fought the whole game. Ohio State might have better wide receivers. They might. But that's about as good as you're going to see. And you saw the way that those guys, those 4 guys plus Bullard, competed. That group, that fivesome, whatever they wanted, that quartet or singket, whatever it is, they were the top 5 tacklers, and they all had a bunch of solo tackles. So they were ready for their moment, and the moment came yesterday. I mean, in these big moments, Georgia's played well. Oregon. I mean, I think Florida is a big game, and I think for a quarter they didn't play well, but they really beat Florida's brains in the other 3 quarters. The Tennessee game, I'm not sure there's been a bigger moment. There has not been a bigger moment in college football than the Tennessee-Georgia game this year. To Alabama, Texas is sort of in that ballpark, but that was not expected. This was. And, State does not have the firepower for this. And if we saw the way that State was fighting with Auburn, that is just a terrible. That is not what you want heading into Georgia. I mean, because Georgia can really give you a hard time in any number of ways. And that's the challenge here. Now, 17 points, 17 and a half. I mean, I anticipate it might get up to 19. We'll see if it ticks up. It's going to be in that range. And Georgia's only lost one game in the last, however, I mean, Kirby and them have lost one game straight up, and that was the South Carolina game. Y'all know that because I repeat it every time. Other than that, there's something like 50 and, one or whatever it is as this type of favorite. I have to get into the numbers a little bit more, but it's gonna be a challenge for State. Now you are playing on the road. And we saw how hard that is. We just saw how hard that is. That's not easy. So it will be about taking the crowd out of it. This Mississippi State fan group does not trust this team right now. Not the way they're playing. I mean, Auburn should have been able to rally a little bit, but not like they did. That was not a good look for State. All right, we'll see you. See you on the next video.